welcome. Joyce Edison here, and today we're going to talk about values at the core. And I don't know if you noticed the blip before. My screen went from portrait to small screen, and I'm not on the small screen today. So I want to talk to you face to face. If you're here with me, what do we mean by values at the core? And I really like talking about this because every time I go to I'm doing a presentation. Like when I teach. I've been corporate training for 26 years. And I love when I work with clients to be able to ask employees, what are your values? Interestingly, I was doing a couples night, so doing couples, and this month our topic was on how to forgive your spouse, right? Most of us, if you've been in a relationship for a long time, you're going to do things that's going to hurt each other. You're going to do things that upset each other. And humans are that kind of people. We have cycles. And so we talked about how to forgive each other. But that's another show. Today, we're going to talk about values at the core. And in that show, one of the reasons why I mentioned it is that we were looking at what are the values that you have? How do you share your values? And when we share our values, it actually limits and it reduces how much conflicts we have when we know what each other values. So it's so important. This is one of the most important topics that I will talk about. And if you're just joining me the first time, I want to say welcome everyone on Facebook, YouTube, um, LinkedIn here, of course, Instagram. Welcome. I am so excited that you're here and that you're joining me. Values at the core. This show is where we're going to dive deep into the whole idea of values. And this is what's happening at work show here. We do a live every Thursday at 11 a.m. Sometimes we're a little off, but we are usually here at 11 a.m. I'm usually here. Sometimes I have guests, and sometimes it's just me wanting to talk about something that comes up over and over again when I'm working with clients, I'm working with employee groups, I'm teaching and training, and this topic comes up over and over again, whether I'm teaching in congregations, whether I'm teaching couples, whether I'm teaching leaders, whether I'm teaching employees, I'm working with managers, so I'm just doing a group coaching or training professionals. This topic comes up over and over again. Values at the core. So let's begin really with asking yourself, what is values? Values is it really in the simpler term, it's the guiding principles. These are the things that dictate your behaviors, your actions, and they determine what thoughts you hold, what thoughts you spend time with. That's the beautiful thing about values, because if you value something, and thoughts are random, right? We know we wake up in the morning and you just get thoughts in your head. Thoughts are random. But the values you hold will determine which thoughts you spend time on, which thoughts you take further and explore. So today I want us to think about the values you have and how they dictate your behavior and your actions. They, it's like that true north compass, right? The values are the compass that guides us, points to your true north. What is your true north? That's what your values are showing me. And often when I teach values, I'm working with groups, and I bring this up even when we're not talking about values, because values is always going to be at the core of everything you do. Your values are going to surface, whether you are doing it unconsciously or consciously, your values will pop up. So they are just that compass. They help you navigate through life's choices and challenges, because we're going to face challenges every day. And when we face challenges, our values are what's going to guide us. They're like stars in the night, guiding us through the darkness and providing that light, especially in times of uncertainty. So when you're trying, should I go or should I stay? Should I say yes or should I no? Should I say no? Your values are what's going to guide you into making the choice. Based on your values, it's going to be yes to my values or no, it's against my values, I won't follow through. So those are really important foundational things to do. And as we go into 2024, we're in January, many people talk about setting your goals, setting your oh, do you have goals? Do you have resolutions? Well, you know what? The thing is, you may have them, but at the end of the day, your values will surface. Yes. So if you're joining us, wherever you're joining us from, this is Joyce Edison, and we are talking about. Yes. So your values are at the core of everything you do, wherever you are. Your values will surface. So, how is it surfacing in your life? I want you to go back and look at your life, right? Your values will surface in your life. And I'm just asking you, join if you're on here, say a quick hi, make a comment, and share one value. Shares one value you have. And so I keep getting asked this question. So Joyce, what are values? Give me some examples of values. And so there are different types of values, right? We have in our lives and we hold, and sometimes the values are transparent in your communication, both personally and professionally. If you value creativity, you might find yourself drawn to innovative solutions, conventional and unconventional paths in your career. You because you are a person of creativity. You want to create new things. You're passionate about creativity, and that is something you value, so they will show up in your life. So it's very important for you to start thinking about, so what are the things I value and how are they showing up in your life? And so there are different types of values. It's fascinating when we talk about whether we're consciously aware of our values or not. They're going to surface in everything we do. So think about it. The choices you make in your relationships, you nurture your career path, you follow, even the way you react to challenging situations will all stem from those core values. So let's take a look at some of the different types of values that we have. When you look at it, you're going to see that you have career values, you have personal values, you have professional values, right? So an example, personal values are the ones that resonate deeply with our individual characteristics. So that means I'm a person, I value creativity, I value legacy, I value integrity. Those things are important to me. So those are my personal values. But they can also cross over into your professional values because I bring those are my core values. They are the core of me. And so they transfer over to both professional and personal. And you may find yourself in a similar situation. So, what are some values that you have, right? And so you may have those character values, those individual character values that just resonate with you. They're at the core of who you are, right? And they could be things like honesty, kindness, courage, right? Courage is one of my core values. I'm a very courageous person. Honesty is one of my core values. And there are those cultural values that we pick up from our society. So you may think about your social values, right? Values based on your culture. You may be in a culture where um, faith is very important, respect to your parents, respect of just humans, of others, your elders. And you may see people from different values just behave from different culture, behave differently around their elders based on their values, showing respect, showing connecting, social. They're very interconnected. They spend time together. Those can be cultural as well. They can be family culture, or they can also be societal norms and values that you bring from your culture. So our society shaped our values. And it was interesting this morning in my meditation and reflection. I was thinking about how our values have changed since the inception of social media. And it's now such a big part of our life, our work, our everyday interaction. It has changed our values. We are less private about ourselves and our choices and what we do. Even people who were once very introverted are now finding, hey, I should share things, I should share myself. And so that's one good thing, but it's not necessarily anything we have can be, we can use it to the extreme. That's humans, right? So we can take good things and we can go ahead and we can overuse it. So if we excess of anything is not good for us, and I mean, it just becomes ugly, right? Anything, and too much of anything is good for nothing is what I used to hear when I grew up. So very interesting. So what are your values? Here we are. We have some comment. Miss Bass said, a great topic. Values are something we need to talk about more and more in this age, as we have so many things to overwhelm us, like social media makes us forget some of our values. That is so true. Yes, social media do make us forget some of our values. Chandra, good morning. How are you? Jacob, welcome. So, what are your values? Make a list of your top 10 values, because often when I'm doing facilitating a group and I ask, what are your top 10 values? And they're looking at me and they're like, give me an example of a value. And because we don't think about it, it's unconscious, and we forget that it drives everything we do. And it's important for us to know what our values are, how we align with them, and which ones are most important. As a conflict analyst, I find that many times when I'm in a conflict situation, or mediating a conflict, or facilitating a group that's in conflict, values pop up. And this person will say, well, I don't agree with that. And the question always comes, well, why don't you agree with that? I don't agree with that because it's wrong. Well, is it really wrong, or is it against your values? You see, and that comes up often. And it happens even in our relationships, right? I know for me, my husband value being on time, and he values being early. I value being on time. On time meaning if it's 10 o'clock, I am here at 10 o'clock. My husband values being early, so that means if it's 10 o'clock, he wants to be there by 9:30. So it can be a challenge, and often reminding, it's like, this is your value, something you value. Where do we have that value in common? Where's the commonality, and how do we bring that together? And those are the things we have to think about when we are talking about values. But also, we're talking about values because those govern our behavior in the workplace. Things like integrity, accountability, teamwork. Do you value them in work? Because this is about what's happening at work, but we forget that we bring our whole self to work. And you don't necessarily become a different person when you punch that card or you go into the office. You're not. You may think you are, but those values, undercurrent values that shape your belief system and who you are, they're always there. And look at the things you get angry about, the things you get upset about. That will tell you what you value. You're going to value, and I notice that when I'm working with groups, when there is conflict, the things you become more upset about are things that violate your values, your sense of propriety, your sense of what's right with the world. You value something, and because you value it, when the other person denounces your values or does something that clashes with your values, then you are upset. So, oh, we got lots of chatter going on. Hey, good morning, Cherry. How are you? And Miss Bass said, considering the team of values at the core, how do you believe one's alignment with personal values influences the success and execution of goals? And what insights can you share about the connection between values and achievement? Oh my goodness. Well, don't even get me started. Absolutely, with the New Year resolution. Many people start New Year resolution and they never complete it, right? I'm going to do XYZ this year. But if it doesn't align with your values, then you're not going to complete it. Really, don't fool yourself. It's just you're just making yourself feel good for the moment. But if it's not something you value, it's unlikely that you're going to complete it. So, what you need to do is ask yourself, do I value this thing? Is this thing of importance to me? And which value does it align with? And then you can pull on that value, right? So, for me, a big value is legacy. And when I'm doing anything in my business and in my life, it's legacy. Okay, what am I teaching? What am I leaving as a legacy? How is this going to resonate? What are the consequences? How is it going to impact? Those are what's important to me, and that's what I pull on, and that's what helps me as a driving force to complete what I started. So you need to go back and align them with your core values. If you have a goal set for yourself and it's not in alignment with your values, you're always going to find a reason not to do that. So always think about that. Cherry says core values make us more anchored and guided in all that we do and decide on. Absolutely. We can't operate on autopilot. It's also is, well, actually, our values are operating on autopilot. It is, because it's always there, and it's you're going to find you have more energy to do the things that are aligned with your values. If they're not aligned with your values, you're going to find reasons not to. You may start, you're just not as enthusiastic. You may get it done, but you won't get it done with the passion and gusto that you would with something that is. So it also is a part of our accountability, who we are and who we create and meaning in our interactions. Absolutely, your values and having values in your life is very important. Someone here, no name. Topic you've chosen resonates with me, and from what I understand, core values serve as the foundation of our authenticity and purpose. It's a powerful reminder to align our actions with what we truly mean. Absolutely, you are correct. If we're aligning our values with what we truly want and believe, then if our values are that, they're the foundation, everything else comes up under that. I usually say to clients, if I move in across the street from you, if I were to buy the house across the street from you, or move in, if you're in an apartment, I come to rent. You go down the aisle in the apartment, and there is, different doors. If I rent the apartment across from you, what am I going to see? How would I describe you? What behavior would you be demonstrating that would tell me who your values are? If you live in a house and then you look across the street, I'm your neighbor. What are your values? How do you engage with me? Are you a social person? Do you tend to have friends over and family over? Are you tend to be socializing and interacting with others? Are you living? Um, are you taking care of your property? Are you loud, noisy, a boisterous person? Do you respectful of your neighbors and others? Do you show respect and kindness? Do you act with dignity? Those are the things I'm going to look at, and that's how I would describe you based on what you present. Now you may say, what, that's not my values. I've had situations where people, I'm mediating two people, and this person is describing the other person. They're like, no, that's not me. And I'm like, and the other person, well, that's what you do. That's not me. That's not who I am. But if you want to, if you want others to be able to describe you in that way, then you need to show up that way consistently. And it doesn't mean that we cannot, step out of a role, or we can do things that are a little wacky from time to time. But consistently, how do you show up? And if you act from a place of anger, right? Sometimes somebody really annoys you and you're just like, really? Again? I'm going to, but is that how you are all the time? Or do you do that consistently? Or everybody can have a one off day, and we're all entitled a one off day. I'm talking about the consistency at the core, right? Is That's the fascinating part of our values. Whether we're consciously aware of them or not, they surface in everything we do, right? The choices you make, whether it's in your relationship, are you going to nurture the relationship, the career path you follow, even the way you react to a challenging situation. So all of those are constantly going to come up. So I want you to think about this. What are the values that guide your decisions? How do they show up in your daily life? Are you living in alignment with your values? or are there areas where you feel disconnected? Because I'll tell you, often when I'm working with clients and when I'm putting them through our coaching toolkit, the workbook, there's one section that says show me, or whether they're doing it as the e-course, it says list your values, right? And then create your top 10 value list. And often they write down a list of values and in the top 10 they bring up. And so part of the coaching work is to say, how does that show up in your life? And I will tell you, 7 out of 10 times I get that show up, right? Yeah. I mean, how do that show up? How, if I were to ask you, your spouse or your partner or someone who knows you closely, would they say that you're exemplifying these values in your life, right? So as we talk about that, I want you to start thinking, which value are you out of alignment with as we go into 2024? Which ones do you want to change? Which ones do you want to add more to? Which ones do you want to be more in alignment with? And it doesn't mean that your values cannot change. And there is a financial aspect. So there's a research that's been done, and they look at people who've gone to Harvard and they look at different values, and they had writing your values down, knowing what they are, their benefits to them, speaking your values, sharing with others. So in this research, and I teach that in one of our coaching, because we have a coaching course on values and aligning values with in coaching. And in there, one of the exercises, we look at that study and then we come back and we look at the results. And they follow these folks, right? They were graduates from Harvard and they followed them. And they were making, those who had values and written them down were making more than those who didn't write their values down. And those who had values and shared them with someone were making 10 times more. It was so flabbergasted when you look at it, was like, huh? So sharing your values with someone else actually helps you to stay more accountable to those values. So if you're taking something away from our show today, it's to think about that. What what are those values that you want to be more in alignment with? And who can you share those values with so that you can be more accountable and more authentic in your values and be more consistent? Because values are not what you say, they're what you do. And as we go through our year this year, and you want to expand your life, or you want to bring more positive things into your life, you want to grow, you want to have more success, you want to have better relationships, whatever it is you want, make more money, you want to go for that promotion, you want to have a better relationship with your boss, you want to be more respected as a leader, you want to have more influence and impact. Go back and look at the core values. What are the things that are core to you? And whether that value comes from your parents, right? Whether they're coming from your spouse, because we can pick up values from our partners. I know my husband wish I had more of his values. And so, but you have to love yourself and you have to love what you value. You have to know who you are and why you value certain things, right? So if you are in, and I'm always making fun of my husband because we've been married for 30 something years, and you have to find that humor in your relationship. Otherwise, you're going to stay at a place where you're always complaining, or you make the best of what you have and you start to enjoy each other. And that's one of our goals this year, is enjoying each other, recognizing each other's values and each other's makeup. So the same when you go into your workplace, your leader may not be you. They may not have the same values as you. They may not see the world the same way you do. But look at the values you have in common. Take a look at your colleagues. They may not see the world the same way you, they may not have the same core values, but what values do you have in common? And try to engage from that perspective. Do you value the work that you do? Do you value excellence in your work? Do you value your work, your projects being on time? Do you value getting work done correctly? Fewer errors? Do you value your brand and how your customers see you? All those things are important in the workplace when we think about professional values. And your value at the core, your core values, some of them are going to seep into your professional life. It's just that's what we are, as human. And when we talk about well-being, we have to remember that we're holistic beings. You are who you are. You are an incredible person. You've been created, and you've been created with this personality, and you've been blessed with this character that you have. And then you have the ability to shape it and change by looking at some of the things you value and the things you want to change. And our values will change as we grow. So, as you take courses, as you read books, as you learn, as you travel, as you engage with different people around the world in different places and different cultures, your values will expand and they will change, just like your beliefs will. And that's okay. It's all right to add new values to your pool, your reservoir of values. It's okay to grow and to become a better person. We don't have to stay stuck, small, just holding on to these few values, right? No, we can expand. Even conflict, actually, as a mediator and conflict analyst, working with groups in very, very, very intense conflict situations, people values actually change due to conflict, because conflict is a catalyst for change. You you learn more about the other person, you learn more about the other side, you learn more information, and that helps you to expand your values and to become a bigger person, right? And have a better, bigger impact on the world, because our values are not meant to keep us small. We've been given the ability to expand our values. And when we talk about true well being, we have to think about learning and growth, because that is part of what we do. And when we teach the well being curriculum, we're looking at all those aspects of our lives that leads to our growth and development. And so, one of the things that we have coming up in our we have coming up is how to develop others. And I have this training coming up, and it's an on demand, it's a blended learning program, part on demand and live training, where you can actually go in and learn and look at how you're developing, coaching your employees as a leader. If you're emerging leader and you're looking to develop those skills, these are what come through. These are when employees say to me, I'm unhappy at work, I don't like my boss. And we have a survey that we did. It's very interesting. We did the survey, and the survey question was, when you look at when you're looking at the various aspects of challenges that employees are having in today's society, in the workplace, what's most important? Interestingly, most more than I'm actually going to get the results here for you. More than anything else, more than AI, more than um, colleagues, what the biggest issue for employees was leader relationship and how leaders interact with them, how leaders change. And I'm going to put the survey results up later today so you can see. It's a 1 week survey. And I keep looking at it and I'm thinking, wow, look at that. At the end of the day, your leader and those you work with have more impact on your mental health and your well being than your family, because you spend more time with them. And even if you're working at home and you're working remote, those you work with have a huge impact on your well being, your happiness. And what they do impacts you. Their values impact you. Your values impact them when it comes out in the way you interact, the way you communicate with them, the way you share your thoughts, the way you give feedback, the way you respond when things get difficult or challenging. Those will all resonate, and those will all allow your values, your core values to surface. So this is one way you can help yourself, is by going ahead and learning, growing, developing, getting the coaching support. This program is blended, so part group coaching and part e-course digital learning. And it really starts and it looks at theory and perspectives on developing others, because that is such an important aspect of our work and our life. I want to wish you well. Thank you for joining me today. This is Joyce Edison live here on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and we're talking about values at the core and how those values can show up in everything you do, even in your professional setting, and how you can adopt new values. You can expand your horizon, and you can pay attention to the things that makes you upset or angry. That will help you to understand your values better more and give you the opportunity to share them. We have a few more comments here. So topic we have, let's read some of the comments here. The is by saying, how do you ensure that values such as integrity and fostering good working relationships are not just stated preferences but actively integrated into a decision making and goal setting? And that's really by doing that, being able to recognize what they are and to do them. So important to share that all the time when we are working with others, knowing that having those relationships and how we treat people is very important to them. And if we value that, it's going to have a huge difference. Thank you for tuning in again. This is What's Happening at Work podcast. This is Joyce Sadidas. Is how we, our sense of fulfillment, contentment, happiness, joy, our health, because the stress of having value conflict can be very, very challenging for us. So you stay well, and I'll see you next week when we talk on another topic. I won't tell you what, it's a surprise. We'll have more conversations. Take care and be well. Bye now.